Welcome to Simply Cooking. I'm your host, Stacie Simfukwe, and today the topic of the day is side dishes for Thanksgiving. You guys know that Thanksgiving is coming, and we have to get together and think about what are we going to be putting together for our recipes. So what makes the meal not only is the turkey, it's your sides. And the traditional sides that we have is the mashed potatoes. We have, the cranberry sauce. Some of us have the mac and cheese. But today we're going to be talking about the green bean. Now, green bean casserole, y'all know you get your green beans, you throw it in a dish, you open up some soup and sprinkle it on the top. We're going to do things a little differently today. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and heat up my pan. We're making garlic green beans with bacon. So first thing I'm going to do is heat up my pan. And I'm going to put this delicious bacon in here. Now, what I like about my bacon is I like my bacon to be very crispy. I like my bacon to sizzle. Okay, here we go. I'm going to drop this in here, and we're going to let the bacon go a little bit. And while the bacon is over here sizzling, can y'all hear that sizzle? So while the bacon is doing its thing, we're going to come over here. We're going to prepare our green beans. So our green beans, now when you pick your green bean, you want the skin to be nice and tight, not wrinkly. You don't want the ends to be like super like burnt looking, you know what I mean? Not stemmy. And you want to feel it. You kind of can feel the crackle in your green beans. So we're going to line this up, and we're going to go ahead and cut just the ends. Just the ends, okay? And we should hear that crunch. If we don't hear that crunch, something is wrong. You know what I mean? I do not use frozen green beans because I want the texture. I want my green beans not to be mushy, and when you get the frozen green beans, they tend to be mushy because of all the liquid has frozen inside of it. So once the heat hits it, it thaws, and that's how you get like soggy green beans. And that's not what we want. We want crispy green beans. We want green beans with texture. And I went ahead, when I cut up my bacon, I made sure that all of my bacon was cut in about the same size. So your bacon doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be a world-class chef. Just make sure that everything you cut is around about the same size, so it can cook at the same time, at the same temperature, at the same time. You see that my bacon is sizzling. Let me go ahead and stir this around. Right in between, right in between. I'm moving this bacon around. And don't worry if your bacon sticks to the bottom of the pan. It's supposed to do that. It's going to create its own lubrication. And once it does that, then you can go ahead and you can move your bacon around. But I'm going to cook my bacon until it's nice and crispy because I like crispy bacon.
Now, there's a special kind of bacon?
You can use any bacon that works for you, but you want to use you don't want to use a leaner bacon. You can do it a lean way, but that will require you to add oil.
But some bacon is hickory smoke.
Right.
Applewood, different forms.
Right, maple.
Yeah.
I would use just a regular bacon because we're going to be adding a lot of seasoning, and you don't want all those flavors getting intermingled, and then it won't taste the way you want it to taste. We're already going to be introducing some sweet flavors, so we don't really need to add any of the other stuff. So what we want to do is we just want to cut the ends of our green beans. We want to get all these tips cut off. Have it nice and beautiful. And like I said, does not have to be perfect. You don't have to be a world-class chef. We're going to do the best we can. This is perfect timing. We're going to let this bacon go. And when you're making Thanksgiving, the main thing you're using in your kitchen is what? Your oven, right? So you want to make things that will free up your oven. And if you're doing a green bean casserole, that's not going to help. That's going to be one more thing. That's why it's so important that when you're cooking, you look at your schedule. You schedule your meals. And that's one of my Thanksgiving tips. Schedule your meals. Schedule how you do everything. I do all my desserts the night before. It never makes it to Thanksgiving, but I still do it the night before. The good timing is so important because that affects the texture and the taste.
My mom would start like at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Right.
Because of that very same thing.
Right.
Baking and the things that happen.
Right.
The prepping and
Right.
things allowed that time. So
Right.
by the time we did eat, she was pretty tired. She was
Right.
up for a while. And it was quite a task.
Right. And you're supposed to be enjoying that day. You know, my birthday is around Thanksgiving usually. And sometimes it's not, well, I love to cook, so it's not really a task. But I don't want to be exhausted. I want to have a good time with my family. I want to eat with my family. And so I make sure I make it as painless and as easy as possible for Thanksgiving. I don't want any of the, you know, the exhaustion. And sometimes we make things harder on ourselves. I don't know why we do it, but tradition, yeah. We saw mom do it, and so that's the way we think it needs to be done. And that's not always the case. Like a rule in my house, I don't let my turkey cook for more than 3 hours. What is the point? The longer you have that turkey in the oven, the drier it actually will become. So that's not what I want. I want to have a nice, moist, and delicious turkey. But I have more information about that if you follow me on Facebook at Simply Cooking FSU, and I can give you all my tips and tricks for turkey. So we're going to put these beautiful cut green beans over here. And I'm just going to move my bacon around a little bit, make sure everybody gets a little turn at the heat. And you can see it's crisping up beautifully. We're getting a little bit of yummies at the bottom of the pan, and that's exactly what I want. I want that deliciousness at the bottom of the pan. Now, if you do have a little stickiness where your bacon is sticking a little bit, you can add a little bit of olive oil or even grapeseed oil. It has a higher heat content, so it can handle it a little bit better. In fact, I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to my pan. Say again?
Do you add some sort of stock to that at any time?
To this, no, I will not. No stock.
You want to stir fry for this?
It's going to be like a stir fry saute. So we're sauteing it down. So we're going to throw this in here. Make sure I got my trash right here. And now we have 2 peppers. And I chose these because of the color, because I'm bougie. And because... And you know, what you didn't know is, did you know that peppers are male and female?
No, I did not.
The male pepper has the 3 bumps and the female has the 4 bumps. What? Yes. And the female pepper is actually sweeter. So you have to think about when you're making your dish, do you want that sweet, or do you want that not so sweet? So we're going to go with this because I like that sweet. Yes.
I did know females are sweet.
Yeah. We sure are. We sure are. We are very sweet. Even in the vegetable world. Now the bacon has a little bit more time on it. It's almost there. So while that's almost there, what we're going to do is we're going to break down this pepper. And this is how I like to do it. Do it however it works. You don't have to, like I said, we're not going to be world-class chefs over here. We're just going to do it the best way we know how. We're going to pop that out, full piece. And then I'm going to go ahead and chop this off. And I use almost every piece of my pepper, okay? So we're going to go ahead and slice all of this pith on the inside. We don't want that because it doesn't really have any flavor. And, you know, we don't want to taste that. So I'm going to get this. And we're going to take these peppers and we're going to cut it into beautiful little strips because we want it to match the size of our green beans. Okay?
So if you don't eat pork, can you use turkey bacon?
You can. You will have to use, you can use turkey bacon if you don't like bacon. What you would have to do is add a little oil in there because turkey bacon doesn't have that oil content. So the next thing we're going to do is, since we got our beautiful peppers, look at that. And I'm actually going to use this piece too, y'all, because I cook. So we're going to go ahead and use this part too. Don't be afraid to use the bottom of the pepper. There's nothing wrong with it. So we're going to use all of this. My bacon is just about done. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull some of that bacon out of the pan.
So you want to wait until the bacon is completely done to add the green beans?
Yes, because that's our crisp. That's our crispiness that we're going to add to our green beans towards the end. And I usually like to cook with tongs when I'm working with bacon because it's just easier for me to grab. It's easy for me to move everything around. And it's towards the finish. Yes, absolutely.
You know, I just learned
You did?
inside of the, usually when I cut my pepper, I cut it in half,
Right?
and then I just chop it.
Right.
Take the seeds out and I just chop it. Usually like the inside, will have no taste to it.
No.
So from now on, I'll just cut it out. 'Cause I didn't
Cut
know
it out.
exactly just chop. And I always use both,
Oh, really?
both of them. Yeah.
So we're going to turn this down, turn my heat down just a touch. I'm going to add a little bit of oil because I have a little bacon fat in there, which I like. And now I'm going to drop these green beans right on into my heat. They're dry. No, not at all. And what I like to do is when I wash my produce, I like to do a 1 to 10 ratio for my vinegar and water. So 1 part vinegar, 10 parts water. That's what I like to do. I'm going to sprinkle with salt for all my vegetables, except for like mushrooms, which really doesn't count. I'm adding my salt, and now I'm going to add some of my pepper. And I'm going to add some chili powder because I like a little heat with my food. You are free to skip this part. This is the way I like to get down. We're going to use these tongs and we're going to toss everything. Make sure it gets coated with that bacon grease. Okay. And this is what I'm going to do right quick. I'm going to cover this just for a few seconds. Get my chopping board squared away. Get everything cleaned and ready to go. Just for a few seconds because I want the steam and the heat to kind of rest on top of the green beans. And I want everything to cook evenly. I don't want just the bottom to cook. I want the top to cook as well. And when you're making green beans, you have to remember that color is key. If you don't have beautiful green beans, what do you have? It's called green beans for a reason, right? So we want to keep the beautiful color on our green beans. So we have to be careful on how we cook it. Make sure everything is coated nicely with the bacon grease or the olive oil. Make sure it's wonderfully coated. And when we put our salt on, we don't want to put too much salt because it'll dry our green beans and then we have wrinkly skin and then it's not quite delicious, right? So now I'm going to check on it. And look how pretty my green beans are, y'all. Look at this. Bright, beautiful, vibrant. And now I'm going to add my peppers right on top. The total cook time for this recipe, maybe 15 minutes. Probably 10. I would probably say less than that. It just depends on how quickly you chop. That usually is what is time consuming, is chopping up your vegetables. So we're going to... I did not use onions. I feel like onions is kind of overused. And what we want to bring to this dish is that salty sweetness. That's what we're trying to do. So we want to do something different. You can actually see that the peppers, the oils and everything from the peppers is actually deglazing the bottom of our pan. So we're picking up all the yummies that the bacon left behind. And we're going to toss this together. And what we want is we want the peppers to become very tender. Not, you know, soft, not mushy, just tender. So we're getting that together. And once again, like when you're picking your peppers, make sure you look at the skin of your peppers and make sure it's very smooth and waxy, really beautiful. Oh my goodness, y'all, look at this. It is so pretty. It is. And you know, when you make turkey and everything else on your plate, it looks like everything's like brown, 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 brown. I don't like brown. I like colors on my plate. I like everything to be festive, no matter what, year round. You can use red peppers. Like I said, I picked these colors because they're pretty. No other reason. And I, because the flavors are very minute, how they change. So it's all up to you.
With the bell peppers,
yes.
Can you explain when they're right? Because
when they're right.
The green is the difference than
yes.
the yellow and the orange. Yeah.
So like you take this pepper and you can see like the waxiness, the shininess of the skin. You can check the stem. Everything looks well in shape. It's very firm. If you have wrinkleness and then you feel soft spots, it's far gone. And then if it's too early, you'll see it's still trying to change colors because usually these peppers are all green when they start out. And then later on, they start to change color. So what you want to do is like once they're not getting chlorophyll, when they're not getting the vegetables, or not vegetables, but the nutrients from the plant, once that happens, that's when they start to change color. That's why sometimes you'll see like graffiti peppers. Have you ever seen that, where there's kind of like multicolored and really beautiful? It's just midway through its transition, that's all. So just make sure that when you get your peppers that it's waxy, there's no soft spots, it's not wrinkly. Smell it, does it smell vibrant? If it doesn't smell vibrant, then something is wrong. Okay, so the next step we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and toss in our bacon right over the top.
I love bacon.
Me too. Me too. And the final step we're going to do is we're going to add, while the pores are nice and open and the heat is on, we're going to add our black garlic honey from our friends at Beehive Yourself. And we're going to drizzle.
Okay, so
yes. It's already in the honey.
that's a garlic honey.
This is a black garlic honey. We're going to just drizzle that right over. And that's how we're getting our salty and our sweet, you guys. It is an infused honey. It is. It's an infused honey. It is brilliant. I have to say I'm a very big fan. I actually use this honey when I'm making my meatballs. And
that before?
yes, I'm a huge fan. Beehive Yourselves are friends of Simply Cooking and Stacie Simfukwe. And they do make some of the most amazing honey. They are local. Beehive Yourself. Yes, Beehive Yourself. Yes. So I'm tossing this. Beehive Yourself. Like beehive, y'all. Yes.
Oh, how catchy.
So now I'm going to go ahead and load this onto my plate. Here we go.
Beautiful.
Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that, y'all.
They say you eat with your eyes.
You
That's
do.
really true. And it's very appetizing.
And this is how we make things gorgeous. And you can even see some of the baking yumminess at the bottom of the pan that kind of went into this dish. And now I'm going to do my favorite part of the show, and I'm going to taste this. My absolute favorite part of the show. Here we go. It's going down.
It's going down.
It's going down. Here we go.
Going down. Days. What say
Hey,
you? All right.
we did it.
All right. What say you, Stacie?
Yes. So thank you so much for tuning. I'm going to eat this. Thank you for tuning in to Simply Cooking. If you'd like more information about Simply Cooking, you can email me at simplycookingfsu@gmail. You can also follow me on social media under Simply Cooking FSU. And you can also go to our website, simplycooking.us. If you I'm enjoying this green bean, y'all. If you know what, get in your kitchen and simply cook. Thank you guys for coming.